If you're hunting for a laptop that can actually handle the kind of heavy-duty work you throw at it without turning into a brick, you're probably feeling a mix of excitement and dread. You want something reliable, easy to live with, and worth the money, not just a glossy sheet of specs. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. That's the exact spot where the Dell Precision 7780 lands. It's marketed as a 17-inch mobile workstation, but for most of us the real question is, will it make the day-to-day grind smoother, or will it sit on the desk gathering dust because it's too bulky, too pricey, or just not the right tool for the job? I spent a few weeks testing it in a real-world setup running CAD assemblies, rendering video, and even squeezing in a few game nights to see where the value really lives. First off, the size. A 17.3-inch screen is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the extra real estate means you can see more of a complex 3D model without constantly panning, which is a huge time-saver for engineers and designers. On the other hand, the chassis is noticeably heavier than a 15-inch ultra-portable, and the footprint makes it a bit of a handful on cramped desks or in coffee shops. If you're the type who carries your laptop from home to the office and back, you'll feel the difference the moment you lift it out of the bag. If your workstation stays mostly at a fixed spot, the larger display is a clear win. Battery life is another practical concern. Dell fitted this model with a 93Wh cell, which sounds generous on paper, but the RTX 4000 GPU and the i9-13950HX processor are thirsty. In my typical workflow, mixing a couple of hours of SolidWorks, a half hour of Photoshop, and a quick email check, the battery lasted just under 3 hours before the charger had to jump in. That's fine for a desktop replacement that you plan to keep plugged in, but if you need a truly mobile solution that can survive a half day on a plane, you'll want to look elsewhere. Now let's talk about performance in the contexts that matter most. The i9-13950HX is a 24-core beast, and paired with 64 GB of DDR5 RAM, it can spin up multiple heavy applications simultaneously without the dreaded lag. I opened a 2 GB VFX project in DaVinci Resolve, kicked off a 4K render, and still had enough headroom to run a browser with a dozen tabs. The RTX 4000 8th generation GPU, while not a gaming card, is built for professional workloads. It handled real-time ray tracing in Blender with smooth frame rates, and the drivers were stable enough that I never saw the occasional crash you sometimes get with consumer-grade GPUs under heavy compute loads. One practical strength that often gets overlooked in marketing copy is the storage architecture. The 1TB PCIe Gen 4 NVMe SSD feels instant. Large CAD assemblies load in a second, and moving files between projects is painless. The drive is also user replaceable, a nice touch for a workstation in this price bracket, so you can upgrade storage down the line without swapping the whole machine. Thermal behavior is a real test for any high-performance laptop, and the Precision 7780 manages it surprisingly well. Under sustained load, the fans kick up to a noticeable hum, but they keep the chassis from getting uncomfortably hot. The keyboard and palm rest stayed cool enough that I could type for hours without a sweaty wrist. The downside is the fan noise. In a quiet office it's audible, and if you're recording voiceovers you'll need to mute the mic or find a quieter environment. The display is another area where the machine earns points. The 500 nit, 99% DCI-P3 panel delivers vivid colors that are accurate enough for color-critical work after a quick calibration. The anti-glare coating helps in bright rooms, though it does add a slight grain that some photographers find distracting when reviewing raw footage. At 60 Hz the refresh rate isn't a selling point for fast-paced gaming, but for the type of professional work the Precision line targets, it's more than sufficient. So, who should buy this? If you're a CAD engineer, 3D artist, video editor, or any professional who needs raw compute power and a large, color-accurate screen, the Precision 7780 ticks the boxes. It's also a decent option for creators who want a single machine that can double as a modest gaming rig thanks to the RTX 4000 solid rasterization performance. You can slip in a few titles after work without needing a separate desktop. The machine shines when you have a dedicated desk space, a reliable power outlet, and the budget to support a high-end workstation. Who should skip it? If you travel daily, need a laptop that fits in a backpack, or rely heavily on battery life to get through meetings, this isn't the best fit. The weight, the 3-hour battery under load, and the fan noise make it more of a desktop replacement than a true mobile partner. Also, if you're strictly a gamer looking for the highest frame rates, you'll find more bang for your buck in a laptop built around a consumer RTX 40 series card.